Psalms chapter 78. Who can stand in your presence? For the music director on stringed instruments, a psalm of Asaph, a song. In Judah God is known, in Israel his name is great. In Salem is his sukkah, and his dwelling place in Zion. There he broke the fiery shafts of the bow, the shield, the sword, and the battle. Selah, you are brilliant, more majestic than nourishing mountains. The valiant have been plundered, they slumbered in their sleep. The mighty could not lift their hands. At your rebuke, O God of Jacob, both horse and rider lay dead asleep. You are awesome, yes you are. Who can stand in your presence once you are angry? From heaven you pronounced judgment. The earth feared and was still. When God rose up to judgment to save all the humble of the land, Selah. For wrath upon man will bring you praise. A remnant of wrath you put on as a belt. Make vows to Adonai your God and fulfill them. Let all around him bring tribute to the one who is to be feared. He cuts off the breath of princes. The king of earth are in awe of him. 77. Remember the wonders. For the music director, and Jeduthun, a psalm of David. My voice to God, and I cried out. My voice to God, and he heard me. In the day of my trouble I seek my Lord. At night my hand stretches out untiringly. My soul refuses to be comforted. I remember God, and I moan, I muse, and my spirit grows faint. Selah, you hold my eyelids open. I am so troubled I cannot speak. I ponder the days of old, the years long ago. In the night I remember my song. I meditate with my heart, and my spirit is searching. Will the Lord reject forever and never again show favor? Has his mercy vanished forever? Has his promise come to an end forever? Has God forgotten to be gracious, or has he, in anger, withdrawn his mercies? Selah. Then I said, it wounds me that the right hand of Elyon has changed. I will remember the deeds of Adonai. Yes, I will muse about your wonders of old. I will meditate also on your work and consider your deeds. O God, your way is holy. What God is great like God? You are God who works You are the God who works wonders. You have made your power known among the peoples. With your arm you redeemed your people, the children of Jacob and Joseph. Selah. The waters saw you, O God. The waters you saw and writhed. Even the depths shook. The clouds poured out water. The skies resounded. Your arrows flashed back and forth. The sound of your thunder was in the whirlwind. Lightning lit up the world. The earth trembled and shook. Your way was in the sea, and your path in the mighty waters, but your footprints were not seen. You led your people like a flock by the hand of Moses and Aaron. Psalms chapter 78. Israel from Moses to David, a contemplative song of Asaph. Listen, my people, to my teaching. Turn your ears to the words of my mouth. I will open my mouth with a parable. I will utter perplexing things from old, sayings from old which we have heard and known, and our fathers have told us. We will not hide them from our children, telling to the next generation the praises of Adonai and his strength, and the wonders he has done. For he established a testimony in Jacob and ordained Torah in Israel, which he commanded our fathers to teach their children, so that the next generation might know, even the children yet to be born. They will arise and tell their children. Then they will put their trust in God, not forgetting the works of God, but keeping his mitzvah. So they will not be like their fathers, a stubborn and rebellious generation, a generation that did not prepare its heart, whose spirit was not loyal to God. The sons of Ephraim were archers armed with bows, yet they turned back in the day of the battle. They did not keep God's covenant and refused to walk in his Torah. They forgot his deeds and his wonders that he had shown them. He did miracles in front of their fathers in the land of Egypt, in the plain of Zoan. He split the sea and led them through, and he made the water stand like a wall. By day he led them with a cloud, and all night with light of a fire. He split apart the rocks in the wilderness and gave them drink as abundant as the depths. So he brought streams out of a rock and made flat waters flow down like rivers. Yet they added more sinning against him, rebelling against Elyon in the desert. They put God to the test in their heart by demanding food for their craving. Then they spoke against God, saying, Can God set a table in the wilderness? See, he struck the rock. Waters gushed out. Streams overflowed. But can he give bread? Will he provide meat for his people? When Adonai heard, he was angry. A fire was kindled against Jacob, and fury also rose against Israel. For they did not believe in God or trust in his salvation. Yet he commanded the skies above, and opened the doors of heaven, and rained down manna upon them to eat, and gave them a grain of heaven. Man did eat the bread of angels. He sent them abundant provision. He loosed the east winds in the skies, and by his power he drove the south wind. He rained meat upon them like dust, and winged fowl like sand of the seas. And he let it fall amidst their camp, all around their tents. So they ate, and they were very full, for he gave them their desire. No longer a stranger from their desire. While their food was in their mouths, The anger of God rose against them, and slew the stoutest of them, and struck down young men of Israel. Despite all this, they sinned still the more, and did not trust his wonders. So he ended their days in futility, and their years in terror. When he slew them, then they sought him and turned back. They desired God eagerly. Then they remembered that God was their rock, and El Elyon their Redeemer. But they flattered him with their mouth, and kept lying to him with their tongue. For their heart was not steadfast with him, nor were they faithful to his covenant. But he is compassionate, forgives iniquity, and does not destroy. Yes, many times he restrains his anger, and does not stir up all his wrath, for he has remembered that they are but flesh, a passing breath that never returns. How often they rebelled against him in the wilderness, and grieved him in the desert. Again and again they tested God, and pained the Holy One of Israel. They did not remember his hand, the day he redeemed them from the foe, when he displaced his signs in Egypt, and his wonders in the plain of Zoan. He turned the rivers into blood so they could not drink from their streams. He sent them on flies to devour them, and frogs to devastate them, and gave their crops to the grasshopper, and their labor to the locust. He destroyed all their vines with hail, and their sycamore trees with frost, and gave over their cattle to the hail, and their flocks to the fiery bolts. He sent them the fury of his anger, wrath and indignation and trouble, a band of evil angels. He cleared a path for his anger. He spared not their soul from death, but gave their life over to the plague. He struck down all the firstborn in Egypt, the firstfruits of their strength, in the tents of Ham. But he brought his people out like sheep, and led them in the wilderness like a flock. He led them to safety, so they did not fear, but the sea overwhelmed their enemies. Then he brought them to his holy territory, to the mountain his right hand had gotten. He drove out nations before them, and allotted them as an inheritance. He settled the tribes of Israel in their tents, yet they tested and rebelled against Elyon, and did not keep his decrees. Like their fathers they were treacherous. They turned aside like a faulty bow, for they provoked him with their high places. So they roused his jealousy with their graven images. God heard and was furious, and he greatly detested Israel. He abandoned the tabernacle of Shiloh. The tent pitched among them. He gave up his strength into captivity, and his glory into the adversary's hand. He gave his people over to the sword. When he was angry at his inheritance, fire consumed their young men, and their virgins had no wedding songs. Their priests fell by the sword, and their widows could not weep. And the Lord awoke as from a sleep, as a warrior shaking off wine. He beat back his foes, putting them to lasting scorn. Then he tested Joseph's tent, and chose not the tribe of Ephraim, but instead chose the tribe of Judah, Mount Zion, which he loved. He built his sanctuary like the heights, like the earth that he established forever. He also chose David his servant, and took him from the sheepfolds, from following nursing ewes. He brought him to shepherd Jacob his people, and Israel his inheritance. So he shepherded them with the integrity of his heart, and led them with his skillful hands. Psalm chapter 79, a lament over Jerusalem, a psalm of Asaph. God, the nations have invaded your inheritance, defiled your holy temple, and reduced Jerusalem to ruins. You gave the carcasses of your servants as food to the birds of the skies, the flesh of your kedoshim. To the beasts of the earth they poured out their blood like water all around Jerusalem, and there was no one to bury them. We have become a taunt to our neighbors, a scorn and derision to those around us. How long, Adonai, will you be angry? Forever? Will your jealousy keep blazing like fire? Pour out your wrath on the nations that do not acknowledge you, on the kingdoms that do not call your name on your name. For they have devoured Jacob and laid waste his country. Do not hold against us the sins of our fathers. May your mercies come quickly to meet us, for we are brought very low. Help us, God of our salvation, for the sake of glory of your name. Deliver us and atone for our sins, for your name's sake. Why should the nations say, where is their God? Before our eyes let it be known among the nations that you avenge the shed blood of your servants. Let the prisoners groan come to you. By your great arm preserve those who are doomed to die. Pay back into the midst of our neighbors sevenfold their reproach, the reproach they hurled at you, my Lord. So we, your people, the flock of your pasture, will praise you forever. From generation to generation, we will recount your praise. Psalm chapter 80, restore us, revive us. For the music director on Lily's testimony, a psalm of Asaph. Give ear, shepherd of Israel, you who are enthroned upon the cherubim. Shine forth before Ephraim, Benjamin, and Manasseh. Stir up your might and come to save us. O God, restore us. Make your face shine upon us. Make your face shine, and we will be saved. Adonai Zavat, how long will you be angry with the prayer of your people? You have fed them the bread of tears and made them drink a measure of tears. You made us a contention to our neighbors, and our enemies mock as they please. Elohi Zavat. restore us, and make your face shine, and we will be saved. You pulled out a vine from Egypt, you drove out nations and planted it. You declared a place for it, and took it deep root, and filled up the land. The mountains were covered by its shade, the mighty cedars with its branches. It sent out its branches to the sea, and its shoots to the river. Why have you broken down its fences? All who pass by the way pick its fruits. A boar from the forest ravages it. Whatever moves in the field feeds on it. Elohi Hazavat, please return. Look down from heaven and see. Now take care of this vine, the shoot your right hand planted, the son you strengthened for yourself. It is burned with fire, it is cut down, may perish from the rebuke of your face. Let your hand be upon the man by your right hand, the Son of Man, you made us strong for yourself. Then we will not turn away from you. Revive us, and we will call on your name. Adonai Elohe Hazavat, restore us, make your face shine, and we will be saved.